Okay, I'm gonna try to make this one short tonight. Been a long day. My legs feel like they're in vice grips for some reason. So here's the thing: with Joe Flacco being eliminated, even though he doesn't even play, it is now official that every quarterback left in the AFC does not have a single win against Tom Brady. Phillip Rivers 0-7, never beat him. Andrew Luck 0-6, never beat him. Got blown out by him every single time they played. And of course, Patrick Mahomes is 0-1. Bama got blew out tonight by Clemson. Those of you who are caring, I would have rather seen Clemson win that game, so good job. So actually, I'm here tonight to say some stuff about the Colts game that's coming up. Throw some facts out there. So the Kansas City Chiefs with Andrew Luck, when Andrew Luck is playing, Kansas City has not beaten Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has not lost to Kansas City when he is starting. Period. So there's one. Number two, Andrew Luck's never lost in Arrowhead. Number three, the Colts have her ass in the playoffs. Number four, we have never beat the Colts in the playoffs. And just for a bonus, number five, Colin Cowherd says this today. He says, if Andrew Luck beats Patrick Mahomes, he should be named the MVP of the league. Okay, you see what he's doing there? If Andrew Luck beats Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so the way I'm thinking of it, Colin, because I know we're not thinking of it the same way. The way I'm thinking of it, Colin, is if Andrew Luck outplays Patrick Mahomes, which there's about a 95% chance is not going to happen, because Andrew Luck has a defense and Pat doesn't, so Pat's going to go off. He always does. If he outplays Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck gets the MVP, no matter what it looks like. That's the way I interpret it. The way Colin is interpreting it is, if the Colts beat the Chiefs, Andrew Luck should be the MVP regardless of what his shitty numbers may look like. Even if his numbers look like garbage compared to Mahomes, he should be the MVP. As long as the Colts beat the Chiefs. No, Colin. No, that's not how it works. You don't and have Andrew Luck's defense win a game and him not do jack diddly shit and then be like, oh, he's the MVP. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm sorry, but Mahomes blew his ass out of the water by about 11 touchdowns. It's not even close. Andrew Luck's not even in the MVP race, let alone in the conversation. Okay, he's comeback player of the year for sure. Like I said, look, I made 2 or 3 videos about this. He lost to some really terrible teams at the beginning of the season, which we're going to get to in a minute. That brings me to another point. He did have a good run. During that run, the only team he played was the damn Cowboys. That was the only good team he played, was the Cowboys. They blanked him 23-0. And guess what? The Cowboys left 24 points on the field. They failed to convert on 4th downs. Who did that? The defense. So why did the Cowboys lose this game? Because the Colts defense forced them to lose. They could have easily had 24 points in that game. It would have been 24-23. Easily, maybe even more. The Colts denied them of that every time they was on the 1-yard line. It was literally like, I think it was like 5 times in the red zone they stopped them. It's some crazy number like that. Like they did, the Colts defense played lights out that game. But then again, Dak is a lot like Andrew Luck. He's really low profile and he expects his defense to do most of it for him. Kind of like Alex Smith. Look, we've dealt with this for years with Alex Smith. We know how it works in the playoffs. Why can't Andrew Luck get past Tom Brady? Because Tom Brady actually puts up points. Andrew Luck doesn't. If he puts up points, it's either because the other opposing team's defense was complete shit, or, you know, the game just fell. There was that one game in Kansas City where we fell apart. He scored 45. That was the only other time I could think of besides defense just being shit. And we were cursed at that point anyways. So my exact point is, this guy's going to rely on his defense to stop Patrick Mahomes. In that 10-game stretch, the best offense that they played, the very best offense that they played, besides divisional teams, I'm not going to include them because divisional games can go either way. I mean, hell, they got 0-6 by Jacksonville. Jacksonville, of all people. Oh, going back to that Cowboys game, he had like 190-something yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. He didn't do shit that game to win. He didn't do anything to win that game. The defense won that game, period. They kept the Cowboys out of the end zone. That's all there is to say about it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Colin, you can't deny that. That is the only good team that they played besides the Texans, which are a divisional team. That's the only good team they played. The only other playoff team they played. And he didn't do shit to win. He didn't do anything. His defense did it all for him. The only time Andrew does anything is when he knows his defense isn't going to compensate for him. And this is one of those games. Okay. When they started out 1-5, all of those teams at the time in that season had a better offense than the Colts. Okay, statistically. And they also had a worse defense than the Colts, statistically. Right? Guess what? It ended up in a shootout. And you know what? They lost every single shootout they was in. They lost every single shootout they were in. The 5 games they lost were shootouts, and they lost them all. And they were all okay offense. The Philadelphia Eagles were playing like crap. They beat them. The Redskins had Alex Smith. He 21-9'd them. That's another guy that plays like Andrew Luck. Sam Darnold with the crappy-ass defense of the Jets besides Jamal Adams beat them 42 to like 34 or something like that, or 38. He let Sam Darnold out-quarterback him. If Sam Darnold can out-quarterback Andrew Luck, I get it. It's a different point in the season here. Hey, I don't get a lot of viewers, Nick Gear, but shout out to you, man. I don't know who this guy is. He just randomly left a comment. Look, man, honestly, I don't get a lot of viewers. I just do this for my own enjoyment and my friends. But thanks, dude. I really appreciate you subscribing. You're one of the very few. I appreciate that. So shout out to you, man. But back to this point, what I'm trying to say is, in the past 10 games, the best offense that they played was statistically ranked besides the Texans. It was the number 17th offense in the league, which would have been who did they say? I think it was the Dolphins. It wasn't the Cowboys. I know that. Their offense, and it's all right, but I think it was the Dolphins. That was the highest. That was the highest rank they played against, was 17. Besides the Texans, who were 15. But that's a divisional game, and they still lost one of those. So here's what I'm trying to say. We shouldn't be afraid of the Colts. The Colts should be afraid of us. Because every team like us that they played this year, they've lost to. Every single time. They are completely over against teams of our caliber that are like us. Anybody that is over 500 in offensive statistics this year. He is watching the stream with me right now. Can you please give him a shout out? His name is Nick Gear. Man, look, Dude, I know what you know what? You're going to get blocked, man. That's bullshit. That's stupid. Don't worry. I'll find you and I'll block you. That's dumb. I see what you're trying to do there. Get off my channel. Go somewhere else, dude, with your racist shit. Stupid ass people, man. Dumb as hell. You know what? Like I said, I do this for myself and my friends. And I hardly get any viewers. So don't come here trying to shit on me and make me say stupid shit. Okay? I'm just here for fun. Oh, look. Message retracted. Piece of shit. I bet you would retract your message after me figuring out what you were trying to do. Yeah, I got a black cousin. Thanks for trying to make me say something racist on camera, you piece of shit. Dumbass. That's what you are. You're a dumbass, and you're still sitting in here watching, too. Or I think you are. And if it is you that's watching, oh, he just left. See, that's bullshit, people. He was trying to make me use a racial slur on camera by saying, hey, give a shout out to this guy. And it just so happened that... That's stupid. Look, I apologize if that offended anybody. But that's not me. That's not who I am. I've got family with all kinds of mix and races. I'm not like that. And I completely despise people who do. That's horse shit. Can't believe that asshole just did that. Anyways. Moving on. So that's my basic point. Any team that's relatively over 500 or above average in the league on offense has come out on top of these guys. So in other words, Kansas City's number one. The closest they played is 17. That's in the bottom half of the league. So I mean, if you're having troubles, which if you're having troubles with, let's see, where's Miami at on this list? If you're beating Miami by 3, you're going to have a problem with a team that's number 1 overall in offense. Yeah, they've had a lot of problems with offenses that score highly this year, New England being one of them. So that's that. And you all know the stat difference between Mahomes and Andrew Luck. I mean, it's pretty anecdotal at this point. Everybody knows who's better, who's had the better season. We'll put it that way. You know, as I said before, the best thing Andrew Luck has going for him with the Colts is, number 1, they have playoff experience. Number 2, he is a good quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes just had a better year. Down the stretch, realistically, yes, Andrew Luck is better. He's been in the league longer. He's had playoff experience. Yeah, I'm not saying Andrew Luck's a bad quarterback or a bad guy, but deserving of MVP this year? Hell no, he doesn't. It's not even close. I mean, you're just looking for an excuse not to give it to Mahomes at that point if you're going that far. But as goes for like head-to-head matchups, points per game, Kansas City's averaging 35.3. The Colts are averaging 27.1. Yards per game, 425.6. Colts are averaging 386.2. So you got 2 ranked number 1s right there, and their offense is ranked 7th in yards, but it doesn't give a ranking for points, so I'm guessing it's around the same thing. Opponents' points per game, 26. Colts give up 21. Yards per game, the Colts literally give up 4 less yards than what we do, 6 less yards than what we do. Takeaways, they got 26, we got 27, so we're pretty equal there. So the defenses are they're decently equal. Here's where it gets interesting, giveaways. Kansas City's got 18. Indianapolis has 24. Penalties, we obviously have a lot more, 137 to 120. Penalty yards, we're honestly not that far ahead of them. Actually we are, yeah. Yeah, 1,152 yards to 953. So there you have it. The difference are the penalties. They give the ball away more than we do. Andrew Luck is kind of a fumbler, especially being pressured. Takeaways are about the same. So the defenses are about the same. So our defense obviously got a boost from that last game. You know, they played a lot better than what they usually did. But the offense is the deal breaker, and their offense is nowhere close to Kansas City's besides yards. Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing, Nick? Thanks for dropping in. Wow, I got 3 people watching. That's shocking. That's honestly the most I've ever had. Like I said, I don't do this for views or anything. I just do it for me and my friends. They get a kick out of watching it. So thanks for everybody that dropped by. See 3 of you are in here. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, that's the biggest difference. You can see that the Colts get up and down the field quite a bit with 386 yards. That's quite a bit of yardage in a game. But they're either taking field goals or they're turning it over, because they're definitely not scoring as many points a game as Kansas City is. So that's the massive deal breaker there, is the offense. The defense is about the same. So it's basically going to be like Patrick Mahomes playing his own defense, which, yeah, well, you can kind of tell how that would probably go. But there's only one real option in this game. And unless our quarterback just lays an egg like Steve Bono did back in the day. Well, I got 5 people in here now. Holy cow. Let's go, team. I agree, man. Whatever team you're pulling for, I support you. I'm a pretty big fan, but I'm a rational fan. So I don't butcher other people's teams. I don't, unless they're the Raiders. Then I kind of have to. Rational, by the way. Okay. Yeah, Steve Bono. He laid an egg. Steve Bono was our quarterback back in, what was that, 95, when we played the Colts in the first round. It was a divisional round. We played them at home. We lost that game 10-7. We missed like 5 field goals or some crazy shit like that. Steve Bono threw 3 picks in the first quarter to arguably the worst team in the playoff bracket. And Steve Bono had one hell of a season too. So, you can kind of see how it ironically lines up. But you can see our problems in the past. Score a bunch of points in the first half, give away a bunch in the second half, and end up losing by a fingernail. Pittsburgh scored on the first drive, laid it off, and then tried to take it at the end of the game. Didn't work. Alex Smith versus the Colts in 2014 in January. Came out and lit it up in the first half. Didn't do jack shit in the whole second half. Alex Smith versus the Titans last year. Lit it up in the first half. Didn't do jack shit in the second half. So you can see how our struggles have been. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out if it's just Alex Smith or if it's just the coaching. That's, in my opinion, that's what we're going to find out. Because if Patrick Mahomes puts out a ton of points in the first half, comes out and doesn't do anything the whole second half. What's up, Lobster? And doesn't do anything in the second half, and the game ends up getting blown by something stupid, well, it's obviously coaching. And in my opinion, there's much better coaches out there that win playoff games than Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the mastermind. He's great in the regular season, but good Lord, when he gets to the playoffs, it isn't good. He's kind of like, I blame the changing Gatorade flavors too. Yeah, you got a good point. You You got a good point there. That could be part of it. that could be it. And my defense in this, Jim Harbaugh. I can't remember which one is which. I think Jim is the one in Michigan. He would come to the NFL for a reasonable price. He wins playoff games. I mean, look, this staff, you have to throw gator skin to that. This coaching staff, like Eric Bieniemy, I'd be okay with him being our head coach, to be honest with you. Eric Bieniemy has no mercy. I mean, we've had two really good offensive coordinators in the past 2 years that have went somewhere else and been successful. And here we got this third one, and he's better than the other two. I think Eric Bieniemy would be a fine head coach. He's got no mercy. The guy puts up points, and he tries to keep putting up points. If Andy Reid will let him, he goes for the throat, and I like that. That's what wins you games. But Jim Harbaugh would come to the NFL. He's won playoff games. John Harbaugh may be looking for a different place. He wins playoff games. This is actually the first one he's ever lost on a one-and-done situation. Believe that or not. Mike McCarthy gets to the playoffs. I mean, with the players and the coaching staff, there's coaches that would die to have that team. That talent and that coaching staff, they would love it. Minus Bob Sutton. Bob Sutton's been shitting himself all season. Bob Sutton hadn't done jack shit all season on defense. He really hasn't. He's been doing stupid crap like putting guys in man on the last drive of the game or not running enough zone. I get it. Kansas City's a West Coast team. They run a lot of man, but sometimes zone beats teams better than man does. And you got to realize that, and you got to come out of your shell. And I get it. He's had top 5 defenses for years and years to come, but it's not working anymore. So that's my opinion on it. If Andy Reid blows this game, get him out. Get somebody else in. I mean, Andy Reid is like, how do I put it? He's like the Aaron Rodgers of football. He's great. He's amazing. Almost perfect in the regular season. But once he gets to the playoffs, he needs everything, he needs everything around him to just be perfect to win. Well, let's not say Aaron Rodgers. Let's back up. Okay, Aaron Rodgers has won playoff games with little to nothing. Let's be honest. Who should we throw in the spotlight? I mean, I guess Joe Flacco is a decent example. He had to have a great defense. He had to have a great running game. OJ Simpson. He had to have everything perfect for him to win, Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And your point, opinion on Coke, Alaska. I honestly have no idea what you're talking about, man. I don't know if that's a troll question or what. If it is, you got me. Yeah, O.J. Simpson. A lot of people say, Pat lost his star running back. He's no good now. Look, star running backs don't win Super Bowls. I mean, they really don't. Tom Brady can win a Super Bowl, and trust me, there's only one Tom Brady. He can win a Super Bowl with next to nothing, like a stick in a ball glove at wide receiver. But O.J. Simpson didn't win one for the Bills. I'm sure that's what you're referring to. Barry Sanders, God bless him, he had a shit-ass team in Detroit, but couldn't win a Super Bowl with Detroit with what they had. What's another really good example? Ricky Williams and the Dolphins. Yeah, that's a good one. Ricky Williams was a hell of a running back. Never could win one for the Dolphins. I mean, great running backs they're good, but they don't win Super Bowls. Great quarterbacks making things happen. That wins Super Bowls. Frank Gore, yes, that's an excellent example too. Frank Gore was in San Francisco for a while, and Let's go, Colts. Good luck to you guys. Good luck. I'm glad you're a true fan, man. Good luck to you. I don't have anything against the Colts. Y'all got everything in the past riding for you. So, Emmitt Smith, that's another good example too. But he did go to a lot of Super Bowls. But I think a lot of that was because of Michael Irving, Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman of all people. I mean, Troy Aikman was good, and then everybody else was just kind of like an asset, you know. But yeah, once all that left, yeah, you're exactly right. Emmitt Smith didn't do anything with that team. So really good points coming from the comment section. It's nice to have a comment section. I mean, I've never really had one. Bo Jackson, yeah, he was another great example. Played for the Raiders, and yeah, I agree. I agree with all of those. There's been some really good running backs out there, and should be the best game of the playoffs so far. I agree with that. I do. I think it will be one of the best games of the playoffs so far. You know, hopefully, I don't personally. Okay, here's the thing: it's the playoffs. I don't mind a blowout because you still win. But then again, it's the playoffs. I'd rather it be close. But the Colts and the Chiefs have had some really good games in the past. So I'm expecting another one, especially in the playoffs. A lot of it has to do with Kansas City's massive choke and the Colts, greatness of prevalence. Or did I say that wrong? Prevalence? Maybe. I don't know. Something like that. But the Colts are held up there for the greatest. Now, I don't know since the Patriots and the Falcons, but as far as I'm concerned, that was a wild card game. The game was wild. Yeah, that's no joke. That was a wild card game, and that game was wild. I remember watching that game. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, well, Andrew Luck made mistakes. Our defense will stop him. And then there was that fumble. God, who was the running back at that time? You'll have to remind me who the Colts running back was at that time. Was it Xavier Rhodes? No, that's the safety I'm thinking of. His last name was Rhodes. I can't think of his first name. But he was I'm pretty sure he was the running back. I don't. Trent Richardson went to the Colts and he wasn't doing anything for him, so they benched him. Because they got him from the Browns. And they thought he was going to be really good, and then he turned out to be a dud, so they stuck somebody else in his spot. But then again, I'm not a Colts fan, so I can't track that exact. Wow, okay. All right. That's crazy. I didn't know Trent Richardson was still the running back at that time. Yeah. But I just sit there and when that fumble happened, I figured, okay, here's our big break. You know, here's our chance to end the game. And Andrew Luck picked it up and just Superman dived into the end zone. And at that point, I proceeded to, just pick up my plate of stuff that I was eating, and I watched till the end of the game, but I was pretty sickened by it. But yeah, that's what I was doing that day, and it just that one really disappointed me. Now the other Colts game, where we couldn't hit a field goal and our quarterback couldn't do anything, that was in 1995. So I was only 2 years old then. So of course I didn't watch that game. Oh, it wasn't Trent Richardson. Well, yeah, Trent Richardson was in here. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Where's the rushing stats? Oh, okay, there they are. Donald Brown. Trent Richardson didn't play that game. It was Donald Brown. Donald Brown. That's who was running the ball. 11 attempts, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. That's who was running the ball. I knew it was some weird off-the-wall guy that it was so weird for him to be there, but he was there. T.Y. Hilton went the hell off. He had 224 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. That wild card game that you're talking about. But Trent Richardson, he had 1 rushing attempt for no yards. That's the only time he was in the game. The rest of it was Donald Brown. Oh, okay. I thought it was a fumble I'm in the first half. Yeah, there was a lot of turnovers in the first half. Most of them were the Colts, but no, I'm talking about that one near the end of the game where it could have possibly sealed things up. You talking about this game or the wild card game? Because I've seen Andrew Luck throw for 400 times a couple times this season, but never anything over that. 4 touchdowns. I think he got over 4 touchdowns one time this season. Of course, his defense is decent, so he hasn't really had to do that. And I'm not going to take anything away from the Colts, but the schedule has been kind of lackluster. But then again, it's the playoffs, so the schedule doesn't matter. He's thrown for 4 touchdowns 3 times this year. Once against the Texans, once against the Jets, which they lost, and once against the Bills. The Jets game, he threw 3 INTs though, but the other 2 teams, he's gotten 4 TDs multiple. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep, you are correct. 3 times he had 4 touchdowns in a game. And really only one of those games were bad, and that's the Jets. And he threw 3 interceptions, so that's probably one of the reasons they lost that game. But other than that, I could see him doing it this week because he has to, and I think that's the only reason why. I mean, those games there, he did it because he really had to, either for whatever. I know Marlon Mack was out against the Texans. He was out for like the first 5 games, so that's probably why he threw 4 touchdowns there. The Jets just have a terrible defense, so obviously Andrew Luck's going to tear that up. And same goes for the Bills. Which, if I'm not mistaken, that was like a 37-5 win or something like that. We're going to run the ball. Oh, yeah, the Colts will be stupid not to run the ball. Our run defense is absolutely horrible. Yeah, Marlon Mack, he'll probably have over 100 yards rushing. Our guy will either get close to it or he'll make up for it in receiving yards. Damian Williams is a very good versatile back. So he'll either, I don't think he'll quite get 100 on the ground, but he'll get close to it, and then he'll probably have some receiving yards on top of that. Damian Williams he's been tearing it up ever since he got that 2-year extension. Colts haven't allowed 100 yards the whole season rushing. Well, you might be right. Let's see if you are correct. Well, let me... Oh, yeah, that tells me a whole lot. I love it when links don't tell you anything. Trying to find a game by game here with the Colts on the defensive side. Number 1 scoring defense since week 7. Yeah, I heard that. I know Baltimore led the league in scoring defense, but the Colts got up there too. Oh, here we go. Okay. Total rushing yards. I think you're wrong, man. On an average, the Colts are allowing 105 yards a game rushing. That's what they're allowing. But the Colts themselves, yeah, those are some crazy stats. Oh, you mean by one player? Well, I mean, one player having 100 yards. Yeah, it doesn't go into that much depth, but they're 5th in points scored. They're 7th in yards allowed, which means they get up and down the field a lot, but they're either kicking field goals or turning it over. Because, I mean, that number would be a little bit higher, but that's still pretty good, 27.1. That's good enough to win in the NFL. Their passing yards and rushing yards are a really good balance, 6th and 20th. But, of course, you got teams like Baltimore that just run. So, Joe Mixon got 91 yards against the Colts. Jordan Watkins, 61, 56, 49, 98, 89, 126. Oh, that was Marlon Mack. Okay. Yeah, Marlon Mack he's something else on the ground. After looking at all this, now I see, because at first I read it and I was like, wow, they're averaging 200 rushing yards a game, supposedly. And yeah, Marlon Mack either has just above 50, or he has over 120. Like, it's insane. Holding Shaquan Barkley to 43 yards, that's pretty impressive. But the biggest hole I see in the Colts is just the fact that they haven't done so well in shootouts this year. I mean, the defenses are pretty evenly matched, but the offenses are like a huge mismatch. Like, Andrew Luck's really good at getting them up and down the field, but Mahomes just scores a shit ton of points. And it's like, you know, it's just kind of back and forth. I think Andrew Luck is going to put up stats because he has to. But I don't think he's gonna outdo Mahomes unless Mahomes just plays absolute dog shit. Because he has to. His defense is terrible. Andrew Luck's got a better defense than. I mean, statistically, yeah, they have him. You know, kind of. Luck is better without question. Not this year, he's not. I mean, he's got the experience. He's got wins. He's a good quarterback. I give him all that. He definitely comeback player of the year. But MVP this year, I've heard that talk. There's no way. The stats are like here's Patrick Mahomes this year and here's Andrew Luck this year. I mean, he's not even in the question. He's not in the race, and he's definitely not going to win it. But dude's had one. Okay, he's had 1 year. What's your point? His year's been better than Andrew Luck's. That's what MVP is all about. League MVP is about what you did the whole year, not ignoring the first really crappy 4 games that he played, and then go ahead and acknowledge, the next 10 out of 11 that he played. And I hear people blowing off Andrew Luck finished second in TD passes. Yeah, but that's the only stat he's got over Drew Brees. That's literally the only one. And I believe Drew Brees finished with like 37, so he's like 2 behind Andrew Luck. But Drew Brees beat him out in QBR. He beat him out in pass completion percentage, yards. He beat him out in everything but passing touchdowns. That's what knocked Andrew Luck out of the race. And the only thing that Andrew Luck could touch Mahomes with was the fact he had a whole point more on completion percentage than Mahomes had. Luck is better in general. I mean, you don't know what Mahomes is going to do next year. But if next year comes out even somewhat similar to this year and he still ends up on top of Andrew Luck, I mean, it's kind of like, my point is, Andrew Luck's good, but with the stats and everything that he's doing this year, I wouldn't say he's gonna outpass Mahomes in this game, because Mahomes has to do something for how terrible his defense is. Andrew Luck, he's had that luxury of borderline subpar offenses besides New England, which they lost considerably. Philadelphia was playing terrible in the beginning of the season. They won a game, which the Colts were obviously in a drought themselves. Remember first playoff game. Yeah, well, nobody said he was going to come out and just crap all over the field. I'm just saying, my personal opinion, he's going to have to do something. He's very calm back there. Of course, you talk to the professionals and they say, oh, yeah, besides the hype, it's just another football game. I don't know if that's true or not, because I'm not a football player, NFL football player. But the Colts aren't just going to come blow the Chiefs out. I can tell you that right now, especially not there. But Mahomes is going to have to do something because of his considerably bad defense. I mean, the only thing that our defense has going for us is we got a decent pass rush. I mean, that's literally it. Everything else sucks. So that's all I'm saying. Mahomes is going to have to put up numbers. Well, you scored fast against the Texans. Some of these scores piled up, like the Titans game the other night, or what was that, the last game of the season? It froze again. Yep, it's frozen.